This is Omar Nashashibi with the Franklin Partnership, one of your NADCA lobbyists in Washington, D.C. Quick update from your nation's capital. The Senate Finance Committee should be on July 21st moving forward on the expired tax provisions. On January 1st of this calendar year, Congress allowed over 50 tax provisions to expire, including the R&D tax credit, bonus depreciation, and Section 179 expensing for equipment. Bonus and 179 are used by approximately 90% of NADCA members, clearly making it one of the top priorities of the association tax policy to continue and extending. Same with the R&D tax credit, which Congress now allowed to expire for the 16th time since its creation in the early 1980s, clearly creating a good number of uncertainty throughout the manufacturing sector as they're trying to spend the summer months planning the remainder calendar year how to purchase, place in service new equipment, and whether or not Congress is going to extend these tax provisions. The Senate Finance Committee action on July 21st is expected to extend for 2 years mostly all of those tax provisions, retroactive to January 1st of 2015, and then throughout all of calendar 2016, getting us through the presidential election. This is similar to a bill that the Senate Finance Committee passed almost exactly this time 1 year ago in summer 2014. The hope is now that this can continue to move forward and garner some additional support and get it all the way through the Senate floor. The challenge is now on the House side, they are still going to try to make some provisions permanent, including the R&D and 179, which we support. They have already passed legislation to that effect, but they're going to try to put additional pressure on the Senate in order to do the same. However, at this point, what we expect to happen most likely is not into a resolution, more like around the Thanksgiving, early December timeframe, which we're hopeful will at least, very least, be a 2-year extension retro to the January 1st and then all of 2016, with hopefully possibly making a few provisions permanent, but at this point we're just expecting a 2-year straight extension towards the end of the calendar year. So a number of things have slowed down the Senate calendar with a number of issues more politically oriented. The TSCA chemical reform bill that NADCA had been working on with NEM and a number of other coalition partners is probably not going to receive a vote before the Senate departs for the August recess in the next couple of weeks. It is on the agenda to come back in the fall. Mostly there are still a couple of hiccups between the House and the Senate versions that senators want reconciled before they move forward. Sticking to some environmental issues as well, House Republican Committee has subpoenaed the White House Office of Information and Regulatory Affairs, called OIRA. OIRA is part of the Office of Management and Budget that reviews all new regulations and rules coming from the EPA and other agencies. In this case, the subpoena is to receive more information from the EPA about which science and which data they actually used and which scientists they consulted. To this point, the EPA has not released that information in its efforts to expand jurisdiction over the nation's waterways from 3.5 million miles to 8.1 million miles, and that rule will begin taking effect pretty soon, so it's important that hopefully those subpoenas are answered. Also, continuing with the EPA thing, a new report came out that the carbon emissions did fall by 13% from the 2008 to 2013 range. This is significant, not just that it fell by 13%, but it also fell during a time of economic growth, albeit a little bit slower than we had hoped, but we still did see considerable manufacturing growth, especially in that 10 to 2012 range, and to see that all during that time, carbon emissions did reduce by 13% is an important message that we hope that the administration understands and recognizes, a point NADCA has been raising on a number of the different environmental regulations, whether it's PM 2.5 or ozone attainment zones. In many ways, the regulations on the books are already working, and I think that this study is really reflective of that, and NADCA will continue to promote that. As you can see, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxides, also down 75% since 1990 levels, same with mercury emissions. And that's why the last point here is important, because the administration did come out, there's a interagency working group that is setting a cost. They're trying to put a dollar sign to the social cost of carbon, meaning there will be these many improved health benefits, fewer asthma cases, fewer different ailments in terms of public health and the environment. And so the administration is trying to calculate that in a method which will help them justify the overall cost to the economy in lost revenue, lost productivity, lost manufacturing expansion when they are implementing the new carbon emissions power plant rules that are slated to take effect in the next year or two. And so that's why it's important. They did set a dollar sign of 36 per ton. It ranges as high as $105 per ton. Obviously, some of the more environmental and progressive groups like that higher number, since then the total benefit they can claim to the economy runs into the billions and trillions, whereas those that are more critical of the studies do not believe that even it reaches $36 per ton. So it's a little bit inside the ballpark, but it's important, especially as we're going to receive the final rule coming from the EPA on the existing power plants coming in the next 30 days or so, probably around that second or third week of August. But that's a quick update from your nation's capital. As always, feel free to contact us in Washington or in Arlington Heights with any questions that you may have. Thank you.
NADCA video news and information is brought to you by the following sponsors.